go. What's good, Team Grips? Got some big news, but first, let's start with an exercise. And we're going to call this the What's Good exercise. So basically, moving forward, every time that I start a video by saying, what's good, Team Grips, I want you to actually pause the video and think for anywhere from 15 seconds to even 15 minutes about what's good in your life. It could be things like relationships, health, financial, career, spiritual, personal growth, or maybe it's just like, your favorite show's on this week. They came out with a new episode. You heard a good joke today. You made some chick smile. You talked to someone in your family. It doesn't have to be big. Just, think about something that's good. Because one thing that used to happen for me, and I think it happens for a lot of people in the developed world, is that we get stuck in a negative thought loop, and we're always in the habit and the pattern about thinking about what's bad, thinking about what we don't have, thinking about how we wish things could be better. And when we do that, we forget all the good things that we have. Great food, great friends, great air, tons of little things. So by doing that, we sabotage ourselves from giving ourselves a chance to be happy. And I think it's a good exercise that we can get in the habit of doing. So every time I put out one of these videos and start with what's good, just take a moment to sit there and think about what's good. Anyway, I just got back from the Pokerstars party. My PCA is coming to an end. But I want to say Pokerstars did a fantastic job, as they always do, pretty much to be expected. Excellent job. So the big news is that I'm going to be doing my first stream of the year this Friday with a special guest. The info for this stream is below. I'm going to put the link in the description, but it's going to be Free Money Friday. We got all the home games. We got some new events. We're going to be giving away tons of stuff. It's going to be the bomb. So, as I said, this video blog is going to focus on what's good, because if I focused on what's bad, the video would end up like this. I've gone 0 for 4 so far in the PCA. I've lost about $6,000 playing poker tournaments, plus a whole bunch on flights and expenses and all these other things. I played poker on some days that I shouldn't have. Man, I'm such an idiot. I should have just stayed in bed that day. Why did I even wake up? I got bad beat in the PCA main event. 2 outed for a 60K pot. That sucked. And, I didn't maintain ideal sleep rhythms. I had a great routine going before I came here. Let those go out of whack. So much for playing like a boss. That didn't last too long. And I ate some pretty greasy food. That wasn't good for me. What else did I do? Paid way too much for food and drinks, because this place is all kinds of expensive here at Atlantis. And that would be the end of the video. Pretty good video, right? Something you feel pretty good about listening. You're like, man, I'm so glad that I watched that Grips video. I feel real. You wouldn't feel too awesome. But because this is a video about what's good, I'm going to kind of show you how to reframe that mindset. I'm going to talk about all the good stuff that happened. And a lot of this good stuff would not have happened if it weren't for these, seemingly negative events occurring, because these events allowed me to learn. Like, the reason I didn't maintain ideal sleep rhythms is because I was up till 5 a.m. every night talking to my awesome roommate, who has become a fantastic friend and has got me so excited about the future. That's just one thing. So let's talk about the lessons from the past week. Lesson number 1 is that friends and family are more important than finances. Okay? Simple. We're very conditioned to think that money is the only thing that matters. Money matters, but it is very insignificant compared to the other things in life. So the main reason I've had such an awesome time out here is because I saw so many of my best friends. I got to talk with them. I got to laugh with them. I got to catch up with them. And when you feel those connections, it's so nice. It's amazing when you just have a random conversation with someone, how good you feel after. It's hard to describe why, but you just do. I rekindled some relationships that got really shaky in the past. Those are relationships with my family. I'm really thankful that I was able to do that and realize and recognize, like, hey, this is getting rocky. I need to fix this. And it doesn't take much to fix. It's just reaching out, putting in the time, putting in the effort. It goes a long way. I made some amazing new friends. So shout out to Scott Ball. You guys have heard me talk about him before. And Jonathan Little. I had a lot of fun with that guy. Co-hosted on his first ever stream, and that was an absolute blast. So if you're watching this, Jonathan, thank you for the opportunity to do that. That was super cool and super fun. When I realized that I have such great people in my life, losing a little bit of money goes from being the end of the world to just some water under the bridge. Because, hey, I get to be in paradise. I know it doesn't look like it because I don't have my window open, but it's midnight and I wanted to get this video blog in time because I'm leaving tomorrow. So, but trust me, like, it's paradise here. The beaches are fantastic, sunlight, baby blue waters. It's gorgeous out there. And when I'm here in a place like that with amazing people and I get to play a game, life's pretty good. And the reason that I get to be in a situation like this is because I've worked really hard. So talking about this place, the Atlantis Water Park is fantastic. They got all these epic water slides that are just like so much fun to go down. They got one called like the Leap of Faith where you're just like, whoop! They got a lazy river that has like sets of rapids. And honestly, you can just like go around in that thing for like half an hour before you finish it. Like, it's crazy how long this thing is. So much fun there. I also found the Sivananda Ashram where I did a bunch of yoga out here. I wish I'd done more, but I'm happy with how much I did. And I had some really good food. And that place also reaffirmed to me the importance of community, the importance of togetherness, the importance of people helping each other, as opposed to that city lifestyle that a lot of us are used to, where it's people competing with each other, where it's people trying to take each other's food. And it's just not a good look. So it also reinforced the power of a physical practice, but the main thing was that the energy of those people and that environment compared to the energy of a lot of the people in the tournament environment and the poker environment, I was just like, oh, these guys are onto something. I hope that with Team Grips, we can bring what these guys have to the poker world and make it a much better place. So that was lesson 1, is that friends and family are way more important than finances. Also, like, if you have a great support staff, you can do a lot with a little bit of money. It's amazing when you work as a team, like, how much farther a dollar will go in terms of, like, cooking meals and stuff. Like, it's incredible. Okay, so lesson 2 is that the value is in the main event. And the reason the value is in the main event is because there's so many satellites to that main event, and a lot of people who are playing the $10,000 main event are not going to be used to that buy-in level. They may not have even played live poker before. They qualified, here they are playing, and they're just like, holy shit, playing the main event, don't know if I'm going to be okay. And you can really capitalize on that. You also get a lot of, rich fish, like myself, playing in tournaments like that, and there's money to be made there. So the one thing about main events is that you want to register on time, because the satellite players pre-register, and so they get put in the tables out in the field, and you want to pre-register so you're out in one of those tables, because once those tables fill up, you get put on a late registration table with all the other lazy poker pros who, slept in after partying last night and didn't want to reg on time. And, they may be hungover, but they're still going to be a lot tougher than the people you would get to play if you were in there out amongst the field. So, main events are worth playing, definitely. If it's outside your bankroll, these are the ones that you want to sell action for, but that doesn't mean you say, oh, the main event's happening and I have to play. You need to make sure you're going to feel comfortable. Even if you sold action, if for whatever reason you're going to feel uncomfortable that it's still too big a buy-in, or you don't feel comfortable playing with other people's money, you won't be confident, and it's not worth it no matter how juicy it is. Because remember, the number one ingredient to success in poker is confidence. And why was I so confident? I played like a boss in the main event. Like, prior to that bad beat happening, I was like, I'm going to fucking rock this shit. I was in the zone. I was very much motivated to do well in the main event. I wanted to bring my A game. I incorporated some of the stuff I've been learning from Mark. And also, I used my eye awake technology, those binaural beats that I told you guys about. I used playing golf in the zone before my session, so that's 1 hour warm up. I used playing golf in the zone after my session. That's a 1 hour cool down. And every time there was a 15-minute break, I listened to something called NeuroFlow, which dialed me in. And it's a 30-minute track, so I listened to it for 15 minutes in the break, and then I listened to it for another 15 minutes when I got back to the table, and I was just like awake. I could see people getting tired. I'm just like, dude, like, you need this. They're like, oh, I drink coffee. I'm like, that'll crash. That'll have side effects. This eye awake technology stuff is really, really powerful. So I'll put a link to it in the description. And if you do want to give it a go, start with some of the cheaper stuff. But if you use the promo code GRIPST, you can get 10% off anything. I use playing golf in the zone. I use NeuroFlow, and I use the PMP 3.0 for meditation. But, we aren't talking about meditation yet. We're talking about performance in poker. Those are the two I recommend, NeuroFlow and playing golf in the zone. Lesson 3. Optimal registration strategy is different for different types of tournaments. The main event is a very big field, lots of players. You want to be in and amongst the field. But some of the other events are smaller fields. I played in an event that I shouldn't have. It was a 2K tournament, and it was a pretty tough field for the people who got there on time. So, why shouldn't I play? Well, I was a little tired from the main event. I put a lot of effort in there, and when I finished, I was like, and I should have taken that day to do yoga and played the 1K the next day, but whatever. I played it. The other reasons that it wasn't good was that it wasn't that soft. It's the PCA, so all the people who busted the main are playing there. I got Vanessa Selbst and Jason Mercy and people like that up in there. B, I already talked about it. I put all my energy into the main, and I needed to give myself that chance to recover, to get over it. And C, I registered before all the fish registered, so I was on a table with a bunch of regs. Whereas if I had waited, I could have gone on a table that was pretty juicy because I saw some of the late reg tables and that worked good. So I think it's worth it to take the time to go scope out the tournament area before you register for a tournament. Do yourself that service. If it makes sense to reg right away, you're going to see the tables are good and you're going to reg right away. If the tables look tough right away, wait. If they get good later, hop in later. And if it turns out that, it's just a tough field and there's not a lot of value, don't feel like you have to play that tournament because you had the check mark on your schedule like, oh, that's one of the events that could be good. Unless it's the event where you're like, this is the one I'm prepping for, this is the one that matters, you shouldn't feel bad about skipping it. You want to make good investments as a poker player, and playing a tournament just because you can afford it or because, you've played a 2K before that was good doesn't mean you have to play the one at this particular stop. So do yourself that favor. Also, I want to talk about that. Some people say, well, I want to play every hand. I want to play every level. Well, the value you sacrifice by not getting to play every level, maybe coming in with a slightly shallower stack in terms of, big blinds, is going to be made up for by the fact that the opponents you get to play with are going to be making way more mistakes. And we know from Sklansky's theory of poker that opponents making mistakes is where our profit comes from. So although you won't get your maximum edge in that you get to play deep stack play, well, you're probably going to regain that edge plus more by the fact that people just aren't playing good. So that's that. Lesson 3, that optimal registration strategy is different for different types of tournaments, and it's worth taking the time to evaluate the situation before just being like, I got to hop in, because that's the gambler's mentality. It's like, oh, I got to play, maybe I can win. We're better than that, okay? We don't play that shit. Lesson number 4. This game can be extremely brutal and seemingly unfair. All right? I get it. I take bad beats too. It's not even I take bad beats. I lose hands where I was the favorite. But I'm okay with that. That's part of the game. I've won hands where I was the underdog before. So I gained a lot more perspective in this trip because I got sucked out in what were crucial pots. Like the biggest pot I played in the main was the one that I got unlucky in. And I know from personal experience, I've been lucky to run well in the most important live tournaments that I've played. I've run very well in the main event. I ran very well in the tournaments that I won over the last 2 years. And, I can admit that. But when you're on a really good run, you think you're invincible and you think everything's so easy and you forget that not everyone's running godly like you are. So it was nice that I got that perspective because I now understand better what a lot of people who are watching this and who are part of the team are going through sometimes. And I can speak to that and teach better to those people because, I've been on the side where I run really good when it matters. And now I've been on the side where I run really bad when it matters. So I'm like, okay, I get it. It can go both ways. So I can relate to you guys better. Because before, I don't play that often, but when I did play, I was running good. So I'm like, this game's easy. Now, the other thing about that, because, it's hard to take a beat and it's easy to carry that around with you. And if you don't take time off to recover or days off to recover, that you're going to carry it with you and it's going to affect your play later. And I suffered a bit from this in that I hopped in the 2K the next day when that's the day I should have gone to the water park and just played and just decompressed and all that. It's really important to recharge the battery and remind yourself why you play poker. And the reason why you play poker should be so that you can finance fun. Fun's not the same for everyone, but you know what your version of fun is, and it's probably not something that is free. So the reason you play poker is so that you can do more of the thing that you enjoy, have more fun, be happier, feel better, and when you feel better, you then play better and you gain more confidence, and it's, a positive upward spiral. So, tip for now on that front, because the game can be seemingly brutal and unfair, is don't overinvest. Don't be overinvested. Losing a tourney should not rattle you. If it can rattle you a bit, but you should be able to shake it off. And if you can't, if you really need to carry it around with you, it's probably because you either set an unrealistic expectation, like, I'm going to win this thing. Well, there's 8,000 people in the tournament, or 800 people. You might have an advantage, but the odds are still against you that you're actually going to win. Number two could be because you violated some of your personal standards, which is when you said, you were going to pay attention and play good, and instead you got distracted by the sporting event going on, something like that. Or you were playing outside your bankroll. And all three of these things are things that you should never do when you're playing poker the right way. So that's kind of the quick fix to carry with you next time you're playing. Make sure you don't violate your personal standards. Make sure you don't set an unrealistic expectation. And make sure you don't play outside your bankroll. That's going to allow you to be a lot more comfortable, at ease, and be able to flow and play good. Okay, finally, lesson number 5 is that how you look at the situation is the most important, because I said at the start of this video, I could have just looked at the bad and focused on the bad and be like, oh, my trip was terrible. But because of the way I'm looking at it and choosing to, interpret what happened, I can turn what most people would take as a very negative experience into something that's extremely positive. I attended Daniel Negreanu's mental game strategy seminar, which was just like yesterday, and got some really nice tips. So here are the key points from that seminar. If you want to, be successful and master the mental game of poker. Jared Tendler. Set your intentions before you play and make sure your actions are in line with those intentions. Some people will want to cash, some people want to win, some people just want to play good, some people want to pay attention, some people want to have fun. You need to know what that intention is and be very clear on it so that your mind can be like, okay, this is what we're trying to do. I'm going to make decisions that are in line with that. If you don't set that, you're just going to be at the mercy of the deck, and you're really not going to end up anywhere. Next, a big point is if you aren't specific where your intentions, as I said, it's unlikely your brain's going to know what actions to take. And, well, this thing's really powerful, but you have to give it a little bit of direction. You have to, I don't know the exact thing to say, but you have to tell the machine what it's supposed to be doing, what it's supposed to be focusing on if you want to work at its full capability. Also, you want to set goals, but you don't want to be attached to your results. It's an important one. Like, goals are important because they give you that direction. But realize it's okay to come up short on your goals if you moved in the right direction. Hitting the target isn't the key. Making progress is the key. Setting goals helps you get there, but it's not the end of the world if you fail, as long as you made forward progress. So, shoot for something that's within reach with your goals, but, maybe a little bit higher, actually, so that you actually have to work to achieve it, instead of it just being a cakewalk where you don't actually have to put in any effort or growth or change. Lastly, stand responsible for your results. This is the most important thing. You can't just try to absolve yourself from your results by playing the victim mentality and being like, oh, it wasn't my fault that I lost. It was the card's fault. It was the dealer's fault. It was my girlfriend's fault. She was distracting me. Oh, the reason I didn't achieve my goal of working out 4 times a week this month is because all this work came. No, it's probably because you didn't actually prioritize it and you let other shit come up that you were like, oh, I can take care of this instead. And you weren't strong and firm and you're like, no, this is my priority. I'm going to handle this first. Most of the time, if you came up short on a goal, it's your own fault. But it's a lot easier to blame someone else or put it on someone else. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm the man. I'm perfect. It's important to, stand responsible for your results, create that accountability, and you're just going to become so much better when you do that. So if you want to watch that seminar in full, you can find a link to it on my Twitter, which is @GripsedPoker, or on the Gripsed Facebook page at facebook.com/Gripsed. It'll be linked from today. So that's it. Those are the 5 lessons. Friends and family are more important than finances. The value is in the main event. Optimal registration strategy is different for different types of tournaments. This game can be extremely brutal and seemingly unfair, but how you look at the situation is what's most important, and it's going to determine how you feel at the end of the day. So, shout out to the Team Grips members who got it done. Mark, y'all know Mark Herm, Ship It, Stipthrong, Chirp, whatever you want to call him. He won the PLO Dealer's Choice for $14,000. You could choose if it was 4 cards or 5 cards. I don't know which one he was choosing. I'm going to try to talk to him later and find out. I'm going to guess he went with 5 card. It favors the position player more. Charlie also almost did it in a big way, bubbling the 1K re-entry final table, taking home $6,500. But I finally met that kid, and Charlie is an awesome dude, as is his buddy Ben. I'm so thankful and so grateful that I got to meet these guys. And I'm like, okay, the Grips community is filled with like awesome people. And when you get to meet them in real life, you're like, okay, this is why I started Project Get Me Stackin'. This is why I made all those videos. It's so I could, help shape these people and help us come together in a place to do something that we're all passionate about. So I'm really thankful for that, and that was very cool, and hopefully I'll bring them on before I go home. What else? Yeah, I haven't done it yet, but I still got one more chance to get it done, and actually the tournament that I picked on the schedule is the one that's tomorrow. It's the $600 Turbo Edition of the PCA main event. So I'm going to try to, get stacked in that, same as I did in the Deep Stack Hyper back at the LAPT, and maybe I'll get a little coverage on Twitch. Who knows? Okay, so that's the report. That's what happened. That's the lesson. So now let's get active. Let's take some action. So this week's call to action, on the advice of the $30 million man, Kid Poker. This isn't coming from me. This is coming from the dude who won all the money. I'm going to do it too because I want to win all the money just like he did. First things first, get specific with your goals. We're going to try a 2-week goal to set the habit and see if you can do it. Or maybe just set a 1-week goal and then set another 1-week goal. If you're successful on this, then do a 30-dayer next month. But start small, start short so that it's less overwhelming. With those goals or goal, keep it simple at first. Start with one. Make an action plan for at least one of them and follow those action steps over the next 2 weeks. So you map out exactly what you want to do to make that goal happen. Simple. And once you've written it down, it's very easy to actually follow through on the action because you don't have to think, oh, what do I need to do? It's written in paper. Just do what's here, do what's here, do what's here. And then at the end of the month, take a look back at that goal and honestly assess how you performed. If you came up short, try to identify what caused that to happen. If you exceeded it, try to identify, what you did well. And if you can do more of that to exceed it even further next time. Or if there were other things you still could have done better even though you hit the mark. And if you gave up and didn't follow your plan, which a lot of people are going to do if it's your first time doing it, don't feel bad. It's pretty normal. It's pretty common. It's a skill you got to develop just like everything else, making muscles in the gym. It doesn't just happen the first time. Was it because the goal was unrealistic? Was it because the goal wasn't something you really wanted? Or was it because you just got lazy and you didn't want it as bad as you thought you did? You just kind of wanted it. And if that's too much, if you're like, you know what, Evan, Grips, I can't handle the goal setting thing yet, I'm not ready, then I have a mini call to action for you that's going to be much easier to implement and won't take as much time and work. And that is, anytime you have a thought, ask yourself, what is the value in having that thought? If it's a positive or high value thought, then give yourself a little pat on the back and say, hey, brain, we want to have more of these. These are the kind of thoughts I like. Keep them coming. This is good. If, on the other hand, it's what most of us are having these days, negative or low value thoughts, give yourself like a tiny little smack or whatever and say, hey, we don't need these. We want to have less of these. And eventually we want to eliminate them altogether. Anytime you have a thought, if you take a second to stop and be like, okay, this is good, more of these, or this is bad, less of these. Eventually your brain's going to get the message. And if you have nothing but positive thoughts, that's when you're going to feel like me and be all happy like me and full of energy and just full of passion, full of excitement. That's the start of the process. So that's the mini call to action you can implement right away. If you want to do something a little bit simpler, that'll be easier. This is one way you can reprogram your brain with practice. And like I said, it's one of the best ones. And also, don't be hard on yourself if it doesn't work. Just, give yourself a little smack that being hard on yourself is not the kind of thought that you want to have. Okay, so we got our review. We got our call to action. Everything's good. please don't forget Free Money Friday this Friday. It's happening on Twitch, twitch.tv/Grips. Action is going to start off at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. That's 8:30 p.m. Euro time. That's 11:30 in the morning California time in West Coast. And it's probably around like 11:30 p.m. Asia time. I think it's 4:30 in the morning Australia time. So yeah, those are the times. If you can make it, awesome. If you can't, then catch the replay and watch the next one. All the info is going to be available at grips.com/Free Money Friday, or go to grips.com, click promotions, and you'll see Free Money Friday. Everything's outlined there, how you can play. I've added some new tournaments, and we'll be running plenty of giveaways, as always. So, yeah, you know where, you know when, and you know what. So bring your A game, because I'll be there, and I don't plan on losing. So if you want to stack this guy, you're going to have to bring it. Okay? So we got like 2 more days till that happens. So I look forward to seeing you there. And until that time, happy stacking.